state your name, the country you represent, and how long you've been working with CRS.
So my name is Ramzi Hage. I've been with CRS for almost 9 years now. I'm based in Lebanon, so I currently work projects in Lebanon, but previously I used to work in Tunisia, Algeria, Cyprus. Currently being based in Lebanon, I'm focusing on a project, capacity building for Lebanon and Jordan.
So what would you say with your work for CRS? What is the work that you do that's closest to your heart?
Well, actually, everything that we do as CRS is close to our heart, like working with people, seeing the change that you do on communities, and mainly also working with the beneficiaries directly. So these things could do a change in people's lives. So that's why it's really interesting and it's something close to our hearts.
Could you please describe the current situation of the country you are working in and specific challenges that you are facing with regard to climate change, migration, famine and food insecurity, or human trafficking?
Yeah, so mainly Lebanon has been in a very difficult period. Lebanon has passed through a very hard civil war, so for almost 25 years. And it was a religious war in a way or another, and then it shifted to be a sectarian war. So, really seeing the change that could happen and the problems that we are facing on day-to-day basis, I think our job is very important, and especially in dealing with these challenges and trying to overcome them. So mainly the need in Lebanon and in Jordan, due to also to the Syrian crisis, is high. So that's why we are trying our best to do our job there.
What would you say are the signs of hope in Lebanon? And if you could please provide a story example.
There's a lot of hope stories in Lebanon. I could give one story that directly maybe links to the work that we as partnership and capacity strengthening programs do, and how it directly benefits the beneficiaries. So um, one of the small organizations that we worked with previously, when we were conducting the assessment, we were asking for their systems. So during the first meetings, unfortunately, this partner didn't have any kind of system. So what they have was a plastic bag with some receipts in it. Although they have a lot of beneficiaries, they have people that come on daily. Some of them are refugees, and previously some of them were internally displaced people. So the work that they were delivering was a little bit chaotic. So after really systemizing their internal structure, helping them putting policies, procedures, systems in place, this directly affected the beneficiaries themselves. So in case of having beneficiaries waiting in line for almost 1 hour to 2 hours to get their service from this organization, it was taking them like 5 to 10 minutes. So this is a nice story that we always tell it, linking really capacity building to the impact and helping the beneficiaries.
What would you say is needed in your country to help counteract or solve the problems that you are currently facing?
Mainly, there's a lot that could be done, but the most important part could be focusing more on the human development. So there's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of people who give aid, but unfortunately, they're just in terms of either volunteering or just doing it for the spare time that they have. But really helping them being more professional, really understand the basic humanitarian principles, the standards, the international standards of dealing with refugees, of dealing with trafficking, people who were like abused in a way or another. This is what's really needed currently.
And why should we care? Why would you say it's important for young people to care?
Like at the end of the day, young people are the future. So especially maybe young people in the U.S. Don't really see maybe the full picture. So in countries like Lebanon, people what really they see from the US, unfortunately, are sometimes the bombs that are thrown on them. This is what they see made in USA. So I think the work that anyone from the youth here or around the globe could help, they could change the perspective, they could change the mentality that not all, let's say, youth or leaders outside the country think in the same way, but we could do a change there.
And what would you say to others in your region about next year's conference, or what is one benefit that you're getting out of this year's conference?
Well, this year has been really exciting because there's a lot of exchanging of experience, a huge number of participants. We are learning a lot from each other, knowing what's happening in Africa and Asia, also in South America. So it's really beneficial in terms of knowing the challenges that other countries face, how we could overcome these challenges, sharing tools, sharing experiences. I think it's been a really enriching experience to have all of these participants in one room. For next year, hopefully it will be like on the same path, but maybe with a bigger crowd, with the people who are from different regions, because we were seeing how much there's a need for these types of conferences, how much there's needs to exchange experience as an agency. So I think in the future having a bigger number could also be beneficial.
And then what does partnership mean to you?
Like partnership is not doing the thing alone. It's like more uh, um, doing it with another person or several people, and maybe what we could achieve as individuals could lead us somewhere, but maybe what we could achieve as a group could lead us further. So especially in countries that we work in, and the organizations, they really understand the ground, they really understand the context, they really understand the beneficiaries better than just being in the office as an international organization. So maybe, and for sure, working with in partnership could help us more understand the context and could help us more put the service where it's really needed.
Great.
Could, I'd like to ask some follow-ups.
Yeah, because I didn't answer the questions on the refugee part. So
Yeah. Could you maybe, when we hear about Lebanon, we think of it as a very tiny country that is not wealthy, but yet has accepted so many refugees from other countries. So what would an American, like if Molly or Cece went there, what would they see, and what would they, what makes the Lebanese so welcoming and so open to people who are suffering?
as we said about mainly the history of Lebanon, the recent history from 1975 till 1993, and due to the civil war, a lot of changes happened in the country. So mainly Lebanon, they are really aware of the hard parts or the difficulties of refugees. From 1993 until now, the country has been really under a huge construction, and there's been a lot of infrastructure that's there, but at the same time, there's a lack of, let's say, follow up or any close attention from the governments, unfortunately. Now, because Lebanon passed through this previous history, they Lebanese mainly understand what refugees go through. That's why Lebanon's population is 3.5 million. We have now 1.5 Syrian refugees in our territories. And unfortunately, the government does not have fixed camps for these refugees. So either they are scattered around the country or they are renting homes or renting shops to live in. So for an American to be in Lebanon, what they could see the beautiful side of Lebanon, speaking about a country with old history, with a very high level of educated people. But at the same time, when you go to a little bit to areas like Bekaa Valley and the peripheries of the country, you could see a huge number of refugees who are, unfortunately, due to the Lebanese law, they're not unable to work in the country. They're just sitting in camps, waiting for food to be delivered to them by agencies or by UN agencies or by international organizations. So what you could see in Lebanon is really two different sides of the coin. A part which is the beautiful Lebanon, but unfortunately due to the refugee crisis, also the part where we as humanitarians come to the ground and help our brothers and sisters in surviving in a better way.
So we in the United States are not taking in many refugees, but how can we help Lebanon? How can we partner with Lebanon and do our duty to help this situation?
Having 1.5 million refugees, it's not a small number to a country which is very small as Lebanon with limited economical resources. So I think any support that could come from overseas will help these refugees first remain close to their home. So that means that in the future they will go back to their home and not have to travel to Europe or to America and go in illegal ways. and at the same time they will have the basic of humanitarian principles or humanitarian rights that could bring food to their tables, clothes that they could wear in winter, and maybe have their children go to school. So by educating, and especially the education part, in the future these children are going to be having a better future, and maybe they won't be going in a path which unfortunately we're seeing a lot in the Middle East, like terrorism and other things. So I think building from now as youth from the US on the future of these refugees and keeping them close to their countries, so that in the future they will go back to their country, this will decrease the terrorism in the future for sure. So that's a very important point that I think all youth around the globe, not only in America, need to think about.
What is CRS's role in working with refugees in your region?
So mainly in our region, we work a lot through partners. So CRS does not implement direct projects, at least in the region that we work in. So, for example, we're working currently with Caritas Lebanon, with Caritas Tunisia, with Caritas Algeria, with Caritas Jordan, and with Caritas Cyprus, and other Caritases in the region. So our role is supporting our partners technically, building the capacities of our partners, and at the same time having programs with them that could directly benefit the beneficiary. Let it be distributions of food, hygiene kits, awareness sessions. We're giving these refugees some legal rights that we could support them in their legal rights. So it's mainly working through partners, and especially the preferable partner for CRS, which is the local Caritases, in supporting these refugees.
Does CRS work across faith communities with other faith groups?
So currently CRS is working on a project called PEER. It's mainly working to excel the emergency response of local faith institutions in 4 countries, which is India, Indonesia, Lebanon, and Jordan. So currently I'm managing the project that's mainly focusing in Lebanon and in Jordan. So in this project, we are really building the capacity of local faith institutions to really be ready and to respond to the current emergency that's there. So in terms of, in Lebanon, for example, we have 18 different sects. So in this project, in Lebanon, we are working with around 14 different religious organizations, which are either part of the churches, the different churches, or they are part of Islamic movements. So for example, we have the Orthodox Church, we have the Catholic Church for sure, we have the Latin Church, we have the Syriac, the Aramaic, we have the Protestant Church, we have several churches that we are supporting. And when I say churches, I don't mean the church itself, but the hand of the church that does the work with the refugees and is ready to respond. And also on the Islamic side, we're working with the Druze community, with the Shia, with the Alawites, with the Sunnis. So in this project, we're trying our best to really support these local faith institutions to be ready and to respond better to emergency response. Because unfortunately in the Middle East area, religion is very important, and people go when they want to have support back to their religious, let's say, groups. So if you're a Sunni, you go to the Sunni mosque to get support. If you're an Orthodox, you go to the Orthodox church, and like this. So in this project, what we're trying to do, we're trying to support these local faith institutions, but also letting them understand the humanitarian principles, which is mainly focusing on not differentiating, not only helping our group, but also helping others. And this was something new. We were speaking to them about things that are related to sphere standards, which speaks more about the type of support that we need to give to any refugees, just having the minimum standards that needs to be given to any refugee, not just supporting for the case of supporting, but making sure that what we are supporting it on a high level. In Jordan, we have also around 13, but only church partners. So we have a majority of church partners that we're currently building their capacity to respond better to the crisis that's happening in Syria, and hopefully not what could come in as future crisis, let it be natural disasters or man-made conflicts. So this project is really a very important project that's not only supporting different religious groups, but bringing them together. And when CRS is working on a project that have in one room around 14 to 15 different groups that are in the country beside us fighting each other, but in Lebanon, sitting together, working under CRS's support, and how we could really help our beneficiaries and help the refugees that are there. This is one of the most important projects that I think, at least in our region, we are currently implementing.
Could you talk a little bit about children and children who are refugees and the impact of this conflict on children that perhaps you've seen?
Well, for sure, when we work in preparing or preparedness for emergency response, we take the vulnerable as the most important component or category of our support. So we focus a lot on women and children. And unfortunately, because in our region, a lot of children have seen things that are really harsh for them to see in their lives, especially when they are 3 and 4 and 5 years old. Some of these children don't speak anymore because what they saw was really harmful for their emotions and everything. So we try our best through our programs in supporting them in psychosocial matters, in helping them like using puppets, just doing anything that we could bring them to speak again and to see the good side of life once again, because unfortunately the majority of the children that are coming to these refugee camps have been really hardly hit in their homeland, and now they're coming to a place which is new. They moved from their surrounding and their comfort zone to just a tent under the heat or in the cold, and at the same time they've lost some of their relatives. So being there in this place, I think what we as CRS and through our partners are delivering is a slight change and a slight hope for them to have a better future and to come out from the hard times that they are now currently in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.